started Michigan's battery manufacturing industry, sending us almost $1.5 billion. He helped save the American auto industry. He helped save our economy. He saved our jobs, our families. He lifted us from our knees. And now, as president, he's cementing our future. With today's announcement, we are jump-starting a new clean hydrogen economy here in the United States. Clean hydrogen is really the Swiss Army knife of zero-carbon solutions because it can do just about everything. Powering trucks, powering buses, airplanes, heating homes, fertilizing crops, revolutionizing shipping, cleaning up America's manufacturing industry. Clean hydrogen is going to shore up our nation's energy security. It's going to make us energy independent. And it's going to ensure that energy workers who have powered our nation for the last century will power our nation for the next century in clean energy. Our $7 billion investment in these hydrogen hubs, matched by nearly $43 billion from the private sector, it's a declaration. That's $50 billion. Hello. That is a huge investment. That is a declaration that America will build the most advanced clean energy technologies. America will attract the most historic clean energy investments. And America will create the highest paying, longest lasting clean energy jobs in the world. And this is what national clean energy policy looks like. Projects that bring pride to our workers, work that delivers prosperity and security to our communities, and communities that save money while breathing cleaner air and saving the planet. Under President Biden's leadership, and powered by the heart and soul of the greatest workers in the world, the clean energy future is ours to win. Thank you, Mr. President.
Please welcome Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney.
That's a long walk. So thank you all for all being here today, and a special thank you to President Biden for coming back home, and I say home for real, for a visit. It's also great to be here alongside so many of our valued partners and champions of this project. The Department of Energy Secretary Granholm, Governor Josh Shapiro, Senator Bob Casey, Senator John Fetterman, and Representative Brendan Boyle. Also, I'd like to acknowledge our Philadelphia team, former Deputy Mayor of Labor, Rich Laser, our project lead, Manny Citron, and our Department of Labor, the entire project team, and all of our incredible partners throughout Philadelphia and the region, who are too many to mention here, but have our enduring gratitude for their essential work on this project. This has truly been a team effort, and we are proving once again that we can accomplish big things when we work together, according to Governor Shapiro, who was right on that one. When we work together, we get it done. With today's announcement, we look toward the exciting future for our city and our region. Like many places in our country, Philadelphia is faced with the challenges presented by our transitioning economy and a climate crisis that is already putting pressure on our aging infrastructure and working class and low-income residents. We embrace this challenge as an opportunity to transform our city, create thousands of local family-sustaining jobs, and work towards a clean energy future. Over the next decade, we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to see that our current energy workers are part of a just transition to the new energy economy and ensure that the next generation of workers gets a chance to participate in the future of energy right here in Philadelphia. So thanks to the $750 million, I'll say it again, $750 million in funding. the Mach 2 Mid-Atlantic Clean Hydrogen Hub. Philadelphia is moving closer to our vision of a city with opportunity for all, where zip code, socioeconomic status, and identity are not determinants of success. And as this project progresses, we will ensure that our work delivers measurable benefits to our communities, supports our world-class unions and building trades, and provides opportunities for Philadelphians from every neighborhood to get involved and build a better future for their families. I want to thank the President again for his ongoing support of our city and of our region. I love Bidenomics. It's prioritizing working people by growing our economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not from the top down, providing opportunity for Americans everywhere. We share this vision, and the City of Philadelphia is committed to building a future where all residents have clean, healthy, and safe energy and economic opportunities that are accessible to all. We would not be able to do this work without federal investment, and we look forward to seeing the benefits for years and decades to come. I'm so glad everyone is here today. I'm so glad we're at an industrial site like this that has employed many, many thousands of people for so many years, and it's going to be reinvigorated along with all of our opportunities for a bright future. God bless you all, and let's get to work.
Please welcome U.S. Representative Brendan Boyle.
What a great day for Philadelphia. First, the Phillies last night again beat the Atlanta Braves in the playoffs. And now here we are in the heart of my district here in Philadelphia to welcome back the President of the United States to announce a $750 million investment that will create over 20,000 jobs right here in our area. I just for a moment want to take a step back. This didn't happen by accident. Think of where we were just 3 short years ago. The height of the pandemic. Death, disease, and despair. Highest unemployment since the Great Recession. Then President Biden and congressional Democrats took office. And what did we do? We got to work for the American people. The American Rescue Plan, the CHIPS and Science Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, and the funding for why we're here, what was in the bipartisan infrastructure bill. That is what has made our recovery happen. When you look all around the world, they are still struggling to recover from the pandemic. Here in America, the greatest job creation of any single presidential term in American history. Thank you, President Biden. We see all around the world today as they are just attempting to get back to where they were pre-pandemic. We've already caught up and are surging ahead. But it's one thing to recover, it's another thing to build for the future. We've done one and are now doing another. That's what being here is all about. And you know, when I talk about the 20,000 jobs that are being created, thanks in part to this federal investment, almost all of them are union jobs. Because as the president likes to say, it's the middle class that built America, and it is organized labor that built the American middle class. So, you already heard Secretary Granholm talk about the advancements that are being made in science, what will be produced here, the way that'll help transition us to clean energy. Please don't forget that. Because there are folks in Washington, D.C., that crazy place where I work, who like to say that, oh no, we have to accept the climate crisis or we'll lose jobs. It's completely false. And we're proving it false right here. The new jobs that are being created are jobs in the new economy and new energy. You know, right here along the banks of the Delaware River in Philadelphia, we have always been a major engine for economic growth in the United States. It is those jobs that brought my dad and my mother's parents to come to Philadelphia. To know that right here, future generations of our city and our entire area will be employed, it's exciting, it's invigorating. And Mr. President, again, I just want to say, on behalf of everyone in my district, thank you, President Biden.
Please welcome U.S. Senator Bob Casey.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm one of the last speakers until you get to the President and the Governor and so many others, but I'm honored to be here today to talk about two things: union jobs and a clean energy future. That's why we're here to gather today, to celebrate this investment in the people of southeastern Pennsylvania and beyond, throughout this whole region and throughout our state. So we're grateful for this. And I want to thank the President for his work in passing the infrastructure bill, a law that I voted for proudly. We didn't get votes from too many people on the other side, but I'll leave that for someone else to count up the votes. But I'm damn proud I voted for the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. So we're honored to be here today with President Biden. We're honored that Governor Shapiro is here and Secretary Granholm, Mayor Kenney, and the members of Congress, Brendan Boyle, who preceded me. But I also want to thank the men and women of organized labor who are here. Thank you for being here today. Thanks for your work, and give yourselves and your unions a round of applause. But we're here today to celebrate those union jobs and the investment in a clean energy future. Thanks to this infrastructure law, this region, the Philadelphia region, southeastern Pennsylvania, won a highly competitive award to create the Mid-Atlantic Clean Energy Hub, to generate hydrogen from renewable and nuclear energy. This is a good day for this region. It's a good day for the men and women of organized labor to celebrate the high-skilled workforce that is here in southeastern Pennsylvania. So it's a good day for Pennsylvania. It's also a good day for the region beyond Pennsylvania, and it's a really good day for the United States of America. Thanks for making it possible, you the workers who made this possible. Thanks very much.
Please welcome Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro.
How we doing, Philly? So listen, I know it's a challenging moment right now overseas, and I know it's a challenging moment right here in our beloved city. So many in Philly are hurting right now. 2 more police officers were shot last night, 1 fatally. And I know words cannot express my anger and sadness, nor any of yours. And I know we all join in collective prayer for our fallen police officer and for every single woman and man who puts on that uniform, the Philadelphia Police, the Pennsylvania State Police, or any of our police departments across this Commonwealth. We are indebted to each and every one of them. And we're keeping law enforcement in our prayers. For as sad as a moment this is for our city, it's also a moment to feel hopeful, a moment to feel optimistic. You know, when 95 collapsed this summer and the eyes of the world were on us, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, we showed that we can do big things when we work together. We showed we can get the job done. You see, we reopened I-95 in just how many days? 12 days. 12 days. We did that, I think, fundamentally for 2 reasons. Number one, because 95 was rebuilt with the hands of organized labor right here in Philadelphia. And number two, as the mayor knows, we had a great partner in President Joe Biden. We sure did. Now, the president's back here today to announce the next partnership, the next big thing that we are going to accomplish together here in the city of Philadelphia and across this great Commonwealth. The president's going to announce shortly that he has selected the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to be the center of the clean energy universe going forward. And hear me on this. I'm competitive as hell, and there aren't many states that are part of this, but Pennsylvania is the only state in the nation to secure 2 regional hydrogen hubs, 2 of them right here in the Commonwealth. Our team worked incredibly hard on that. We're so proud of them, and we couldn't be more grateful to Senator Casey and our entire federal delegation for leading this forward. Look, grit and ingenuity, toughness, that helped Pennsylvania build this nation. It helped Pennsylvania rebuild I-95 in just 12 days. And it will now lead the next chapter in our American story around innovation and opportunity and clean energy right here in the Commonwealth for our nation. Look, the president, of course, is no stranger to Pennsylvania. He knows what we're capable of here in the Commonwealth, and so do I. With these 2 hubs, we will now be able to connect the dots between the best, most highly trained union workforce in the entire country, our world of higher education and science and innovation, industry. Everybody is going to be rowing together as we write this next chapter in our American story. The President of the United States came back to Philadelphia today because he believes in us. The President came back to Pennsylvania today because he wants us to be the center of the clean energy universe. And the President of the United States came back here today because he believes in us, and so do I. And together, we are going to get it done. Thank you all very much. Let us get to work. Thank you.
Please welcome the business manager for the Philadelphia Building and Construction Trades Council, Ryan Boyer.
Thank you. First, let me welcome my loud, rowdy sisters and brothers from the Philadelphia Building Trades. Come on. I'm honored and privileged to be here today to present the most labor-friendly president in the history of the United States of America, our president, Joe Biden. Joe Biden has prioritized the needs of working families, union families, more than any other president in the history of our nation. Against significant opposition, Joe Biden advanced and signed the biggest infrastructure package in our generation. Literally billions of dollars of investments in our roads, bridges, schools, and all of our communities will benefit from this for thousands of good-paying union jobs, Anthony Gallagher. And with the help of my good friends at the Building Trades, Jim Snell, all the guys here, Mark Lynch, we will have a well-trained, well-prepared union workforce ready to go. These jobs and opportunities they present will change the trajectory of many of our communities. And that's really just the beginning. Joe Biden has earned our support time and time again. Next year, we will send him back to the White House to continue this critical and most important work. Josh says he's competitive. Boy, you don't know about North Philadelphia competitiveness. And for us, in the whole city and the whole region, there is really no alternative. It's either Joe Biden or we go to hell in the handbasket. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, please join me in welcoming our friend, our Pennsylvania. He comes to us all the time, so give him a warm Pennsylvania welcome to the President of the United States, President Joe Biden.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be almost home. Hey, guys, I live in Delaware, okay? And by the way, I'm a big Pennsylvania guy, but you have an advantage in Philly. One, I married a Philly girl. Two, you're between Scranton and Wilmington. You know, Scranton, you guys have no sense of humor, man. Look, Ryan, thanks for that introduction. I really mean it. And before I get started, I want to acknowledge two brave police officers on a serious note were shot last night. One was killed at the Philadelphia airport. I talked to the chief and the mayor about this. They put their lives on the line to protect this community. We owe them a debt of gratitude, and we're praying for them and for their families today. I also want to say a word about the situation in Israel. The more we learn about the attack, the more horrifying it becomes. More than 1,000 innocent lives lost, including at least 27 Americans. These guys make Al-Qaeda look pure. They're pure evil. As I said from the beginning, the United States, make no mistake about it, stands with Israel. The United States stands with Israel. Secretary of State Blinken was in Israel yesterday, and Secretary of Defense Austin is there today. We're making sure Israel has what it needs to defend itself and respond to these attacks. It's also a priority for me to urgently address the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. At my direction, our teams are working in the region, including communicating directly with the governments of Israel, Egypt, Jordan, and other Arab nations, and the United Nations to surge support and humanitarian consequences for Hamas attack to help Israel. You know, we can't lose sight of the fact that the overwhelming majority of Palestinians had nothing to do with Hamas and Hamas's appalling attacks, and they're suffering as a result as well. This morning, I spoke with the family members of all those Americans who are still unaccounted for on a Zoom call for about an hour and 10, 15 minutes. They're going through agony, not knowing what the status of their sons, daughters, husbands, wives, children are. You know, it's gut-wrenching. I assured them my personal commitment to do everything possible to return every missing American to their families. We're working round the clock to secure the release of Americans held by Hamas in close cooperation with Israel and our partners around the region. We're not going to stop till we bring them home. Folks, now for the reason to be here. Secretary Granholm, no one's more enthusiastic about building our clean energy future than you are. And we also, I got so many friends here today. Pennsylvania delegation, Josh Shapiro, Governor, Mayor Kenny's an old friend, one of my closest friends in the Senate and in politics, Bobby Casey. Representative Brendan Boyle is always there. And I have Governor John Carney from Delaware and Tom Carper, two of the best people I've ever worked with. The New Jersey delegation, Donald Norcross. I kid Donald all the time that Delaware's small, but we own the Delaware River up at the high water mark in New Jersey. By the way, there's a lawsuit that actually happened. Anyway, but and he couldn't be here, but Cory Booker is a good friend, and who's on the ground in Israel. And when the attacks occurred, from everything he's doing to support the people of Israel. And I also want to thank him for pushing so hard for the projects we're about to talk about. And Governor Phil Murphy couldn't be here either, but he's also a strong, strong supporter. And one thing before we get started, let's go Phillies. You watch that game last night? Yo! Between the Phillies and Eagles, man, it's a good year, man. This is a good year. We're going to win the series and the NFL. Look, and if I didn't say that, Bobby Brady would be up on the stage here with me. Look, you heard me say it before. When I think climate, I think jobs, good-paying jobs, union jobs. By the way, I'm serious. Look, let me get one thing straight about unions. The reason I'm so pro-union, the middle class built America. Wall Street did not build the middle class. Unions built the middle class. That's why. I mean, that's not a joke. I'm deadly earnest about that. And it's especially true when it comes to clean energy and manufacturing. When the public sector and the private sector come together, proving we can do big things in America. One of the things that I worried about was that, you know, we talked about people, there used to be an argument that you can't have industrial policy dictated by the government. Well, guess what? I found that when the government invests in the needs of the American people, invests in America and the American people, guess what? The private sector jumps on real quick. In fact, I've asked CEOs this question repeatedly. When the United States invests considerable resources in new industry, does it encourage or discourage businesses to get in? And the answer is clear. It encourages them to get in. Federal investments attract private sector investments. A lot of it. Creates jobs in industries like clean energy and demonstrates we're all in this together. And that's what this is all about today. I'm here to announce one of the largest advanced manufacturing investments in the history of this nation. $7 billion in federal investments. It's going to attract $40 billion in private investment in clean hydrogen and power of the economy. Spread over 16 states, creating tens of thousands of good-paying jobs, many of them union jobs, most union jobs. It's a $50 billion investment. on our economic competitiveness, a stronger, energy-secure economy, and combating the existing threat of climate change. It's all part of my plan to make things in America. You know, there was a law early on that I forgot about, which was that back in the 30s, during the Roosevelt time, it said it wasn't only good, but we should encourage, when the president has money to spend that the Congress gave him, that president should do two things. One is make sure he or she invests that money by making sure that that money is being spent on American projects by American workers with American products. And guess what? Presidents all along kept saying, well, we have exceptions. Only 30% need to be that, only 40%. Well, guess what? I changed that. To invest in America and invest in America is what we do. We grow the economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down. When I came to office, I was determined to move away from the trickle-down economics. You know, you usually say when the wealthy do well and big business, everybody's going to do well. Well, not a whole hell of a lot dropped out of my dad's kitchen table when I was growing up. No, I'm serious. I decided we're going to focus on building the middle class. When the middle class does well, everybody does well. The poor have a way up, the middle class do very well, and the wealthy still do well. They got to start paying their taxes. That's another issue. Folks, you know, the press started calling this my plan Bidenomics. Today's announcement is a critical piece of that plan. Let me explain. I made it a goal for our country to get to net zero emissions from pollutants no later than 2050. By the way, it's the only existential threat to humanity. If we don't do this, if we don't stay below these numbers, the whole world's changing. Our kids are going to be, and our grandkids are going to be, anyway, I don't want to even think about it. Clean hydrogen is going to help us meet that goal. When it comes to charging our cars or powering our homes, all we need is clean electricity to power, to get from solar and wind. That's just fine, and we're doing that. And we're getting close to meeting that goal. But when it comes to manufacturing things like steel, aluminum, and other materials, factories need to process materials at over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit to get that done. You need to burn fuel to get that done. You can't get it done with wind and solar projects. You cannot generate that much energy. That's where hydrogen comes in. Hydrogen can power industries like the production of steel and aluminum. It can transfer, and it's going to end up changing our transportation system, like trucks, rail, planes. Clean hydrogen produces energy resources like wind and solar. That lets us get to this place without putting more carbon in the atmosphere. You know, when I put that forward, they said we couldn't do anything bipartisanly in the Congress. Well, I introduced the bipartisan infrastructure bill. It got passed. It got passed, even though we only had a couple votes extra in the Senate. And it contained funding to harness the benefits of hydrogen and encourage states and industries to join together to create things called hydrogen hubs. And folks, those hubs are about people coming together across state lines, across industries, across political parties to build a stronger, more sustainable economy and to rebuild our communities. The hub is in the Middle Atlantic region. It's made up of 17 sites spanning southeastern Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey. And the hubs are existing infrastructure supporting oil industry and oil pipelines and refineries and repurpose and regenerate, store, transport, and use clean hydrogen instead. This hub alone is going to produce 100,000 tons of hydrogen per year. 100,000 tons. Up to $750 million in public investment is attracting $2.25 billion in private investment. And here are some examples of how it's going to work. The Delaware City refinery in my state, vacant, owned by Chesapeake Utilities in Georgetown, Delaware, and a former jet fuel terminal in New Jersey, all use renewable energy like solar power to produce clean hydrogen. Plumbers, pipe fitters, we're going to replace and retrofit oil pipelines to transport the hydrogen here. Where fueling stations at the Port of Philadelphia in partnership with Philadelphia Gas Works will provide clean hydrogen to people to power trucks, heavy-duty equipment, operated by longshoremen and Teamsters. That'll mean cleaner air, since the equipment that runs on hydrogen produces fewer emissions than diesel. Across town, on the site of the old Philadelphia Energy Solutions oil refinery, a new bellwether district, Hillco, was going to use clean hydrogen or steam to power the life sciences and logistics on campuses where companies will do research and development for the next generation technologies. The City of Philadelphia and Southern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority are going to use clean hydrogen to power their heavy-duty vehicle fleets like street sweepers, garbage trucks, fuel cells, and electronic buses. The DuPont Company in Delaware is going to use hydrogen to power their research and development operations at one of the most extensive power experimental stations in the world in Wilmington, Delaware. Here, in the Mid-Atlantic hub, every single one of these projects will use project labor agreements. That's another way of saying union. Union. And by the way, here it's going to create 20,800 jobs. 20,800 jobs here in this hub. Plumbers, pipe fitters, electricians, laborers, and so much more. Look, we're not just creating jobs here in the region. In western Pennsylvania and Ohio, West Virginia, Hydrogen Hub will bring another source of good-paying jobs to the coal communities, so workers who powered our nation for generations can now work and produce clean hydrogen, just like we've seen them start their careers reclaiming abandoned mines, manufacturing advanced batteries, and the solar industry, because they deserve it. They powered us for so long, just like my hometown of Scranton. The same communities that were once thriving coal mining and power plant towns will now be the center of our new clean energy economy. We're restoring hope and opportunity and dignity along the way. That was my commitment, and that's what we're delivering. We're doing the same thing at a hub in the Midwest, a hub in California, another hub in the Dakotas and Minnesota. All across the country, from coast to coast, in the heartland, we're building a clean energy future here in America, not somewhere else. Taken together, the emission reductions from these hydrogen hubs will be the equivalent of taking 5.5 million gas-powered vehicles off the road. 5.5 million. And across America, all these hubs are anchored on the promise to local communities, a promise to build these right, to ensure local priorities are at the forefront, risks are mitigated, and everyone benefits, especially communities left behind, like those that have suffered disproportionately from the legacy of pollution and environmental injustice. For example, here in Pennsylvania, Cheney University, the oldest HBCU in the country, is part of this hub and will be training workers for these new clean energy jobs. Hubs are just one example of what we're doing to rebuild America for all Americans. Through the bipartisan infrastructure law, which I helped write and pass, we're making the most substantial investment since President Eisenhower in roads, bridges, ports, airports, clean water, high-speed internet. These are good-paying jobs. We've already announced over 38,000 projects across 4,500 communities all across this nation. Here in Pennsylvania, we've already announced it's going to get $10.2 billion, including for 300 specific projects across the state. There's no better example. There's no better example of how we're rebuilding America, doing big things right here in Philly, where union labor, a great team effort to get I-95 back up and running in just 12 days with the help of the governor after a section of that highway collapsed. Anybody think we'd be able to do that in 12 days? It's never been done before. We're upgrading airports from Pittsburgh to Lehigh Valley to right here in Philly. And I want to tell you, and Bobby, I say Bobby, my good buddy, the guy from Scranton, you know, Casey, we're investing $900 million, almost $1 billion, to rebuild the Montgomery locks and dams. We're going to get moving on and I promised Bob, we got a lot of money for Amtrak. We're going to build it. Where is he? Bobby, we're going to build that line from Scranton to New York. It's coming, man. I'm determined to build that line. We used to have it. Now we got the money. We're going to get it done. Since I took office, we've created 13.9 million new jobs across America. 13.9. We've created 850,000 manufacturing jobs, twice as many as the previous administration created in all its time. The unemployment rate has stayed below 4% for 20 straight months in a row, the longest stretch in 50 years. We've achieved a 70-year low in unemployment rate for women. We've seen record low unemployment for African Americans and Hispanic workers and people with disabilities. This is everybody, not just a few people. This is everybody. And by the way, the data shows we have the highest share of working-age Americans in the workforce in 20 years. And inflation is coming down. It's down 60% since last summer. Core inflation is the lowest level in 2 years, and now we have the lowest inflation rate of any G7, any major industrial country in the world. We're creating good jobs in communities. We have more to do. We're creating good jobs in communities across the country, including in places that have been left behind for too long because factories shut down, towns were hollowed out, and jobs were moved, and people lost their sense of pride. Hold a second. Think about it. How many small towns you know in Pennsylvania and all across the Midwest where there was a factory that for 30, 40 years, people were able to work and have a good, decent salary, live a middle-class life. And all of a sudden, corporate America decided, I'm going to find cheaper labor overseas. I'm going to send the job overseas and import the product. Not anymore. When those jobs move overseas, they're bringing them back, and we're bringing them back big time, big time. And by the way, I mean, think of the pride. You know, you lived in a neighborhood. You lived in a small town. Your whole life, your father, your grandfather, you're able to make it. And all of a sudden, there's nothing left. Kid comes to you and says, I got a good education, Mom, but I can't live here anymore. There's no jobs. We're going to restore their pride as well. Under Bidenomics, you don't have to leave home or your family to get a good job. Under Bidenomics, we're investing in industries of the future so that the future is made in America. Made in America. And folks, we're just getting started. My Investing in American agenda has led to manufacturing boom and attracting over $500 billion. $500 billion in private investment in 2.5 years. And in manufacturing and the industries of the future. Spending on factory construction has doubled in the last 2 years after growing only 2% under my predecessor. And now, instead of exporting American jobs, we're creating American jobs and exporting American products. I really mean it. Think about, I know this sounds boring, but I really mean it. And that's good for everybody. Let me close with this. I came to office determined to get this country up again. So we could face the existential threat of climate and still grow, to fundamentally change our economy, and to transition this country to a clean energy future. Today's announcement is all part of a bigger vision to do just that. We're going to invest in the Inflation Reduction Act that we passed. I was able to put in $369 billion. $369 billion. And by the way, I reduced the budget by $1.7 billion. Okay? I reduced the debt while doing this. To fight climate change. It's the largest investment of its kind anywhere in the world. The single largest investment ever. And we invented, by the way, we invented the semiconductor. The little thing, the little chip about the size of the end of your finger. We went to the moon. It affects nearly everything in our lives, whether you have a cell phone, an automobile, refrigerators, sophisticated weapon systems. But guess what? We were initially producing 40% of them all in the world. Guess what? We got down to producing 10%. Why? We took it overseas. So I proposed legislation, which I thought would be a slam dunk to pass, but we had a little bit of resistance from my MAGA friends, and signed it. And as a result, semiconductor companies all over the world are investing hundreds of billions of dollars to bring chip production back home. For example, you know, just outside of Ohio, outside of Columbus, Ohio, there's 1,000 acres. Well, you had Intel come along and say, look, we're going to invest there. We're going to invest over $20 billion. We're going to build these new fabs, these factories, they call them. They're like twice the size of football fields. And guess what the average pay is? About $100,000 to $110,000 a year. And you don't need a college degree to have the job. Look, with this bipartisan infrastructure law, we're seeing cranes in the air, shovels in the ground, and pride coming back to cities and towns all across the country. Nearly a century ago, Franklin Roosevelt, Rural Electrification Act, brought electricity to millions of Americans, generating significant economic growth and prosperity. Nearly 70 years ago, President Eisenhower launched the interstate highway system. The investment we're making today will be for our kids and grandkids what those historic projects were in previous generations, only bigger. Today's announcement is transformational, you know, and it joins a long line of transformational adjustments we made just since I took office. And as a result, I truly believe that this country is about to take off, because for the first time in a long time, we're actually investing in America. We're investing in Americans, not just America. We're investing in our future. I can honestly say, and I mean this, and I know I don't look it, but I've been around for a while. I've never been more optimistic about America's future. Just to remember who in the hell we are. We're the United States of America. There is nothing beyond our capacity. If we work together, nothing. Because of you all, we're going to get it done. We're the leading country in the world. We're going to remain that way, and God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you.